the New Zealand Order of Merit.
Yes.
As an Aussie who came over and spent the time you did here to receive that acknowledgement, I understand there's a story that you thought it was a wind-up when you first...
100%. Got a letter, got the royal logo on it, the whole bit, right, and saying what it was. Yeah, so I thought it was the boys just geeing me up because there's some real pranksters in every team. But, so doing that, and so I rang the Beehive and just said, like, I've received this letter, and then she sort of confirmed my details just to make sure it was me. And I said, I just want to know whether this is legit or just someone's, mucking around. And she goes, oh, no, it is. Someone's nominated you and it's up to you. You like whether you accept it or not. And I said, oh, absolutely. This is huge. Like, I can't believe it. And she goes, well, someone has, and I said, but I'm Australian, so how can I? And then she goes, no, you're in the Commonwealth and you're living here and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I was blown away. Mum come over, Joe and the kids were there, government house, amazing ceremony, and there were some truly incredible people that were, I was very, well, not very embarrassed. I was very proud, but I was sort of embarrassed when you're looking at people who have done so much in a community for 50 or 60 years, and I'm a sort of a blowing Aussie who's been rewarded with something very similar to them. So I wear it very proudly on my LinkedIn as a I don't know what you call it, as a part of my story. And it's really cool to be able to explain to people what it means, because so many people do ask, oh, what does that mean? And then I tell them, and they go, what? So, like, you're like an Order of Australian medal, but in New Zealand. I said, yeah. And they go, how did you get that?
It's so impressive. I wonder if the clairvoyant time stamped her big award. Would she be referring to this one, 25 years in the future?
There you go.
Just on that same Aussie-New Zealand tangent, Owen Gutenbill retold a great story of doing the haka at Buckingham Palace for the Queen, the late Queen. You were on that tour as playing the Delhi Messenger role, which was the one Australian that was in that group. Did you get to do? Did you partake in that haka as well?
I was trying my best. Yes, I was in the haka.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. And spoke to the Queen after it, and she pointed out that my haka was a bit different to
Did she really?
the other boys. And then I told her that I was Australian, and then she goes, I could tell there was a little bit of a difference. But with that, I'd been out of the Aussie side for a few years. Ricky Stewart called me back into the team. We played in Wellington on the Saturday, and that was when Mark Gasnier got knocked out by Steve Maddai. So we won that game pretty easy. I even scored that day. Well, that next morning, I had to get on a flight with the Kiwi boys to go to England. So I was really weighing up. I'd never really done the haka. So I knew I had to do it, and I'm thinking, when am I going to learn it? And I didn't think it was appropriate leading into a test match against New Zealand, sneaking off to learn the haka with Rubes or whoever, Bailey Mack or whoever it was going to be. So basically left it until I landed in England with the boys, went to the hotel. We then went and had a quick training session, come back, had a shower, and then we're on our way to the New Zealand Embassy to meet with the representative of New Zealand there for a cup of tea, and then on to Buckingham Palace. And so I'm like the Wiggles. I'm learning. I had 20 minutes to learn the actions, 20 minutes to do the words, 20 minutes to put it all together, and then on the bus doing it. And even at, the embassy, I'm doing it in the background there too. And they get to Buckingham Palace, and amazing to go through those gates. Like I've been to the gates, outside of them, stand there taking photos, but to actually go through the gates and in behind, and you see what's there, and then to go into these incredible rooms, and then for the Queen and Prince Philip to come down as well, and then introduce themselves to us, or us to be introduced to them, and sort of split into forwards and backs, and the Queen spoke to the backs, and Philip spoke to the forwards, and then swapped around, and then we went and did the haka, and they've got, I think, 200 staff in the palace, and majority of them, nearly all of them, are Australians or Kiwis. I don't know, the Queen had something that she loved having Australians and Kiwis. So they're all on the staircase watching us because they know what's going on as well. And yeah, then we started into it, and Rubes led that one. And after it, he couldn't talk. He couldn't talk for about 3 days. So we did it in front of the Queen. And then we did it at Leeds Station because the All Golds did that 100 years earlier at peak hour, so 5 o'clock. And in that one, Dave Kidwell led that one, and we're doing Kamati and we're doing the slap, you know, and I thought he was going, to start into it. But he's just gone, and he kept going, and I started into it. And Tummy Tupou, Billy, he was beside me, and he lost it because I've started and no one else has.
Oh, mate.
And I'm trying to recoup, and I go back to that and be quiet, and he's losing it. We're both in the back. I wouldn't go in the front. That just would not be good. So I'm in the background and trying to regather myself, and he's losing it. And then we did it before the game, and then we did it after the game because Stace retired again. I think it was for the 4th time. But he retired again. And, so we did it in honour of him. So I got better at it by the 4th time, but certainly, it probably wasn't. I'm a big cup of tea man, and the best cup of tea I've ever had was at Buckingham Palace.
Is that right?
And I thought it would be the little cup, you know, like Twinings sort of thing, but it was mug. And I so dearly wanted one. And I think Owen talked about some boys became new owners of some teaspoons, which I wish I had got one of those as well. But I really wanted a teacup. I was almost going to ask the Queen if I could, respectfully. But, I didn't have the brass monkeys.
Good judgment. It's like asking for a signature on a book.
Mate,
And not,
I think they know what happens.
Yeah.
But, I just wanted to be up front, and she might have made a joke about it. She might not have, but I just didn't have the balls to do it. Yeah, but cool experience.